Welcome to Mendenhall Glacier, one of the most spectacular places you can visit in Alaska, and right now, completely deserted. In the summer, this place turns into a full-blown tourist conveyor belt, bus after bus rolling in from the cruise ships, unloading wave after wave of visitors, and within minutes, these trails are packed. The viewing platforms, shoulder to shoulder, and the only thing moving faster than the glacier's retreat is the line for the restrooms. But it's March, the off-season, which means for the next few hours, it's just me, the glacier, and a high probability of making questionable hiking decisions. At the base of the glacier, we've got Mendenhall Lake, the first thing you'll see once you arrive. It was once a prime spot for watching icebergs drift serenely through the water. These days, spotting one might feel like winning the lottery. At the speed the glacier is retreating, it's going to be out of the lake possibly this year. Some of us were even betting last year. Now, if you're the type of person that would rather enjoy the great outdoors without actually stepping into it, I have something for you. The Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center. Built in 1962, it was the first ever visitor center in the National Forest System, designed so visitors could step inside, stay dry, and enjoy a front row seat to the glacier, because back then you could literally just look out the window and see it. These days, not as much. Now, if you want a really good look, you might want to bring binoculars, or better yet, make friends with whoever's hogging the single spotting scope they usually have available. Okay guys, if you're looking for that quintessential glacier selfie without breaking a sweat, the Photo Point Trail is your golden ticket. 0.3 miles round trip, paved, so accessible, even your grandma could tackle it in her sleep. As you stroll this leisurely out and back, you'll be treated to panoramic views of the Mendenhall Glacier, surrounding peaks, and Nugget Falls. It's like Mother Nature set up her own photo studio, complete with dramatic backdrops and perfect lighting. No filter required. Alright folks, we're about to embark on the Steep Creek Trail, a place where nature's drama unfolds every summer. This trail is famous for its elevated boardwalks, offering visitors a safe and accessible way to witness the wild side of Alaska up close. They function like nature's VIP passes, lifting you up above the floor and giving you a front row seat to what's going on below. They're designed to keep you and the wildlife safe, ensuring that curious humans and curious bears both maintain a respectful distance. The viewing platforms along the trail provide the perfect perch to observe the natural spectacle of sockeye and coho salmon swimming upstream. It's an epic reality show starring fish with a one-track mind, which might be a little depressing, but the bears do appreciate their effort. Bears are oblivious to the paparazzi that will snap their photos from above. Along the way, you'll find interpretive signs that will educate you on the life cycle of the salmon, the habits of the bears, and the balance of the ecosystem. It's a reminder of how connected everything is and how lucky we are to see it. Alright folks, so far we haven't had to do much hiking, but don't worry though, because when you tackle the Nugget Falls Trail, it practically rolls out a red carpet for you. Even if you showed up in your flip-flops, you're probably going to be fine. You could push a stroller and walk with your grandma. This 2-mile round trip jaunt starts near the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center, leads you straight to the majestic Nugget Falls. Your biggest challenge is actually going to be dodging other people who stop to take photos. It's pure stress-free hiking, and as you get closer, the roar of the falls will grow on you. And this 377-foot tall monstrosity will make other waterfalls seem like a leaky faucet. So that's the scene. A massive glacier pulling a slow motion disappearing act, a lake that used to be full of icebergs, a thundering waterfall, and the occasional bear just trying to mind its own business. Oh, and so many salmon, all fighting their way upstream like some kind of fish-based triathlon. But we're not here just to stand around and admire it all from a safe distance like sensible people. No, we're going to go hike. Not deep into the glacier, but along the creek that crashes down into the mountains, past ruins, past waterfall, and probably make a few decisions I'm going to regret by lunchtime. And along the way, we'll learn some history, we'll talk about some questionable trail choices, and if I'm lucky enough, I'll just see bear signs and not an actual bear. Alright, so here's the deal. If you took a rideshare or a city bus to Mendenhall Glacier, chances are you're getting dropped off well before the visitor center. Which means, congratulations! You now have a bonus hike to do before the hike you actually planned to do. But don't worry, because instead of just walking along a boring old road with tour buses zooming by, you're going to get to walk the Powerline Trail. Sounds pretty intense, like something out of an action movie, but don't let the name fool you. It's more of a scenic back road than a rugged adventure. It's scenic, it's historic, and depending on your decisions, it can either be a relaxing stroll or an accidental survival exercise. Granted, there is a point where this trail intersects with something locals affectionately call Bear Highway, the Under Thunder Trail, which shockingly is not a nickname that inspires much confidence. But hey, this adventure is only as questionable as you choose to make it.
Now this trail wasn't made for hikers. It was made as a road to Juneau's first hydroelectric power plant, which powered the Treadwell mining complex. And then later on it became a road to the glacier itself. And today, it's a secret back door to the park. Now if you're a little more on the adventurous side, if you look just off the trail, you'll sometimes see things. And this is one such time. You're going to see this large rock. It's called a glacial erratic. And it was left here by the retreating glacier long time ago. Despite the fact that we're miles away from where the glacier is now. And this one, you can actually climb all the way to the top very easily. Don't do that. This next one requires a little bit of bushwhacking. Okay, not for the faint of heart. This is the lower part of the fall. You cross the stream once with a quick hop, and then on and up to the next one. This fallen tree is going to make it slightly more difficult. It might look like you're at a dead end, but you just have to think outside the box. Well, it looks like this side's no good, but I can hop right back over and go on the other side. So there you go. If you do this, stay on the other side of this tree, and you'll be fine. Watch out for that guy. You don't want to get stuck with those. It's called Devil's Club. It'll stay in your skin for weeks after it breaks off, and it's too small to pull out. Oh, and if I didn't mention, there's a secret swim hole. This one's a little bit easier to get to the bottom part of it.
The Trail of Time, possibly the only hike where you measure progress in glacier breakups and presidential visits. Let's get into it. Rather than starting from the visitor center like a law-abiding tourist, I'm entering from the parking lot next to a Subaru and a porta potty. You could also start out from the end of the Powerline Trail at the old powerhouse. I like to begin all my hikes with a quick glance at the map, not for navigation, but so I can later pretend I knew where I was the whole time. Early on, I'm seeing ice, a not so gentle reminder that yes, this is Alaska, and yes, you should have worn better boots with traction devices. There's a little pond off to the side here, perfect for reflecting on nature, or why you forgot to pack lunch. This is a lower section of Steep Creek, a popular bear buffet spot during the salmon run, complete with a flimsy plastic fence to keep the tourists from becoming tour-ons. Upper Steep Creek, less murder, more drama. The sound of rushing water makes you feel alive, and mildly nervous that you dropped your phone. Here's where the trail takes a hard turn into industrial archaeology. This sign explains how in the early 1900s, the Treadwell Mining Company bought water rights for only 10 grand and built a mile-long steel pipe through a mountain. They carved a 650-foot tunnel, rigged up a tram system, and dropped in over 2,000 feet of pipe, all so they could squeeze some electricity out of Nugget Creek and blast it out to the mines. And yes, some of this pipe is still here. Let me show you. This is the very section from the sign, still where they left it over a century later. It's just chilling here in the forest like it owns the place, and honestly, it kinda does. Look at these rivets, looks like a submarine. However, this section is off trail and I do not recommend you go chase it unless you know what you're doing. Still intact after all these years, unlike your modern attention span, which has already gotten bored of this video. But seriously, very impressive. Next, we have a charming gravel patch. Built in 1930, back when you could drive your car right up here, hop out, and be greeted by a wall of ice. Now, you're greeted by a sign telling you what you missed. Back then, this was a full glacier experience. Engine off, sandwich in hand. Did they have sandwiches back then? Staring at nature's frozen masterpiece. Now it's more of a glacier adjacent memory. And here we have a plaque commemorating the time President Warren G. Harding came to admire the glacier, stood right here, and then promptly died. He told the locals, "I've waited all my life to visit Alaska," which is truly touching, until you realize he only had about 18 days of life left to enjoy it. The glacier was right behind him when this photo was taken. Today, you're just gonna need a time machine. This next one's a fun one. A man named Andy Hafner looked at a boulder and thought, you know what this needs? Plumbing. So he drilled a hole straight through it and piped in clean water from Steep Creek, turning this glacial erratic into a Depression-era Brita filter. Back in the day, this was a full-on water station. Today, the fountain's gone, but the holes are still there. And you know what? This one I don't think we can blame on funding levels. This next section is located at the start of the East Glacier Trail, which we'll get to soon. It was once the creme de la creme. You parked down the trail, you walked here. You had open panoramic views and a front row seat to a frozen wonderland. As the ice vanished and the plants moved in, the view, now you got trees in every direction. It's a silent before and after. The shelter here was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, a New Deal program where young men were paid to go outside and build things instead of starving. They hauled logs, drove nails, and made shelters just like this one, while the glacier they were building next to quietly checked itself out. And that little stone down there, that's where the glacier stood in 1916. This 1939 photo shows a woman gazing out across the valley, spotting landmarks like Steep Creek, the pipeline, the old shelter, everything clearly visible before the forest swallowed everything up. Mother Nature just doing its job. This one hits even harder. A side-by-side comparison of the glacier in 1956 and now. It's called Changing Views, which is optimistic branding for, hey, remember when this spot had ice? Still, from here you get one of the best perspectives in the area. Even if you don't want to do any hiking, this one is just above the visitor center with maybe a 30 seconds walk. No hiking required. And then just above those two, you're going to see a couple rocks. This one shows 1936, where the glacier used to be. And then the next one, 1937. Next on the list, and probably most on your to-do list, is the Nugget Falls Trail. It's a path that promises breathtaking views, a touch of local history, and if you're lucky, maybe a surprise or two from the local wildlife. As you set off, the trail offers a gentle path, perfect for a brisk jog, a leisurely stroll, or a bicycle ride. The sound of rushing water will grow louder with each step, hinting at the spectacle ahead. Look up near the cliffs above Nugget Falls, and with a bit of luck and a zoom lens, you might spot a mountain goat effortlessly hanging on a wall or just sunning on top like it's no big deal. No ropes, no hesitation, just pure stubborn confidence in hoof form. They're one of the few locals who don't seem remotely impressed by the glacier or the humans staring at them. Also spotted on the trail, this black-tailed deer minding his own business and clearly wondering why I'm sweating over a flat hike. Now, no other trail in this area carries the emotional weight like the story of Romeo. Romeo was a wild black wolf who lived near the glacier for nearly a decade. Unlike any wolf you've heard about, he befriended local dogs, played with them on the lake, and became something of a legend. Keep your eye on the glacier erratics because one of them on the trail has a plaque on it commemorating the spot he used to sit. If you're curious about him, check the Visitor Center bookstore. There's a whole bunch of books written about him. There's also more than a few YouTube videos chronicling his life and legacy. It's worth looking into if you want to feel things and then immediately cry in a Safeway parking lot. Now these next two trails are real actual trails and they're going to take a long time to do, so do not set out unprepared. But I'm going to let the trails do the talking. Mostly because I was too out of breath to narrate it live, but don't worry. You're going to see some interesting history, some old ruins, and some questionable construction buried in the forest.
Yeah, looks like it's seen better days.
I have learned to walk on water, moving men's hearts to the last result. I am the first word in motion. My moments are eternity. Pure spirit mind is me.
Eventually, I hiked past the official end of the trail, because of course I did. It looked like it kept going, and curiosity is a powerful thing when you're not cold yet. The path narrowed into something more like a suggestion, winding through brush and climbing steeply, until it wasn't a trail at all, just slick moss, steep hillside, and the sound of wind picking up above the tree line. Snow started blowing sideways just ahead, and that's when I knew this wasn't the kind of hike you finish with a granola bar and a high five. Not today, not without more gear, more time, and probably fewer self-preservation instincts. So I turned around, because sometimes the trail doesn't end, it just dares you to be the one who disappears trying to prove it.
It's a really cool rock. Good news is I found my camera. Bad news is I had to backtrack probably almost a mile, so that adds another 2 miles to the trip, but I got it back, so I can't complain too much, but I still can. Can you hear that? Sound of just silence. There's just nothing else. Nobody else is around. I'm the only one on this trail. And I find it very therapeutic and recharges me, even though physically I feel tired. Some people call this Hobbit Forest. I think on account of everything being completely covered in greenery. Take a look. This whole side is nothing but switchbacks. But they're not bad. I consider this the easy side compared to the stairs. None of them are really that hard. It's about 800 feet of elevation gain just on East Glacier. Still been the Hobbit Forest, It is nothing but green. Everything is completely covered in moss in every direction. Losing daylight. Alright, so you're gonna see AJ Falls. We're losing daylight, so I'm gonna have to make this one quick.
So that's it. 2 waterfalls, 4 trails, a whole bunch of interpretive signs I probably took too seriously, and at least 7 terrible decisions involving mud, elevation, and hydration. I started at the Mendenhall Glacier, or at least where it used to be, followed the ghosts of ice down the Trail of Time, past a rock with plumbing, a shelter from a vanished view, and the place where President Harding once stood and promptly stopped. I watched goats defy gravity, a deer ignore me, and learned about a wolf who sat on a rock, played with the local dogs, and became a legend. Romeo, you weird, wonderful creature, you deserved a better ending. Then it was off the map and up the stairs. East Glacier Trail tested my knees and my life choices. Nugget Creek tested the rest. It was beautiful, quiet, and just a little bit haunted by rusted cables and forest-covered infrastructure. And the whole time, the glacier loomed in the background, not front and center, but always there, shrinking, shifting, reminding. This wasn't just a hike. It was a walk through time, through loss, through effort, through beauty, through bear country. Would I do it again? Absolutely. I'd probably want to bring more snacks, though. Until next time, this has been a very soggy, very humbling, very Alaskan adventure.